screenshot had a timestamp, March 14th, 2022, 11:47 a.m. $60,000, wire confirmed. She kept it on her phone for 14 months without sending it to anyone. Her name was Marina. The woman who received the money was her sister-in-law, Greta. And by the time this story ends, Greta would have no business loan, no family narrative, and a reputation that couldn't be rebuilt. Not with the 11 people who had received the same email on the same Thursday night. Not with the lending institution that had already reviewed her application. And not in the civil court that entered a default judgment because she didn't appear. She didn't know yet exactly what she was going to do, but she had started writing things down. Greta had called in January 2022 with a number in her mouth and a story wrapped around it. The number was $60,000. The story was a boutique event planning company she said she had been quietly building for 3 years. Weeks away from its launch, held back by a single gap in startup capital. Marina was not wealthy, she was careful. There is a difference. She had $80,000 in savings she had built since her mid-20s. A decade of decisions that looked boring from the outside. No vacation she couldn't pay for outright. No car that required more than a 2-year payoff. What she had built was unglamorous and quiet and entirely hers. Greta knew about the account. Marina had mentioned it once, 2 years before, over dinner at his mother's house. She hadn't thought much of it at the time. She should have. They agreed to terms, not casually, in writing. Marina drafted a repayment schedule, $2,000 a month beginning 6 months after the transfer. She sent it by email. Greta returned a scanned copy with her signature on the witness line. The wire went through on March 14th. For 5 months, they spoke normally, birthdays, holiday dinners. One afternoon where Greta spread a mood board across the kitchen table and talked for 40 minutes about a venue partnership she was close to locking in. Then the calls got shorter, then they stopped. By September 2022, Greta had not replied to 3 separate texts asking about the first payment. She had, however, posted 17 times on Instagram. No payment arrived in September, none in October. In November, Marina brought it up at a family gathering, quietly in the kitchen when no one else was in the room. Greta said, and Marina would remember this exactly. "I don't think this is the right place for that conversation." Marina left the kitchen. She didn't bring it up again that evening, but she had started writing things down. What Marina did not do is a list worth reading slowly. She did not post anything. She did not call his mother. She did not send Greta a long message at 11 p.m. laying out everything she felt. She did not CC anyone on the follow-up emails she continued to send. One every 30 days, same format, same neutral tone, in case they were needed somewhere other than a phone screen. She went to Christmas. She sat at the table, she passed the bread. Inside the family, a different story was forming. Not in any single conversation, but in Greta's accumulated comments. To his cousins, to his aunts, to his mother. Marina was being distant. Marina was making things difficult. Marina had always been a little cold, if Greta was being honest. No one called Marina to check her version. They rarely do. She understood how the architecture worked. The louder voice becomes the real one. The quieter one becomes the story everyone already agreed on before she arrived. So she stayed quiet. Not because she was passive, because she was counting. But there was one thing she hadn't told anyone, not yet. While Greta was living her life, Marina was building a file. Not emotionally, architecturally. The signed repayment agreement, scanned and saved in 3 separate locations. The bank wire confirmation from March 14th, 2022, timestamp, amount, recipient account number. The full email chain showing Greta's confirmation of receipt, 22 text screenshots, organized chronologically, showing Marina's own messages, measured, clear, never accusatory, and Greta's responses, which thinned from paragraphs to single words to nothing at all. 2 voicemails from January 2022, Greta's voice warm and specific, describing exactly what the money was for and exactly when it would come back. She created a private folder, password protected, backed up in 2 cloud accounts. Then she built a contact list. Every mutual family member she and Greta shared. His mother, his 2 aunts, his 3 cousins, 4 family friends. 11 people total. She didn't email them. She didn't text them. She stored the list in the folder and waited. The whole architecture had one missing piece. A moment she couldn't create herself. She needed Greta to say something specific, on record, in public, that directly contradicted the file. She had a reasonable idea of when that moment might arrive. She was right. Here's what most people misread about this kind of patience. She was not waiting for revenge. She was waiting for evidence. There is a difference. Evidence doesn't require emotion, it only requires time. In February 2024, 14 months after the first payment was due, Greta posted in the family group chat. Her business was expanding. She had secured a small business loan. She thanked everyone for their support during what she called a challenging few years of building entirely from the ground up, without outside help. Without outside help, not one single dollar. Marina read it once. She closed the app. She opened the folder. She had known the loan application was in process. His mother had mentioned it at Thanksgiving, proud, in passing. Marina had said nothing then either. She had noted it, and she had done something very deliberate in response. She contacted a small business attorney and asked a single question. The question was, if someone applying for an SBA-backed loan omits a personal debt of $60,000 from their financial disclosure, what are the legal consequences? The attorney's answer was thorough. Marina took notes. What Greta had done in that group chat, public, time-stamped, and enthusiastically witnessed by 11 people, was hand Marina something she could not have engineered herself. A claim of financial independence that directly contradicted a signed document, a confirmed wire transfer, and 22 months of unanswered messages. She knew. That was the moment. The email went out on a Thursday evening. 1 message, 11 recipients. Greta was not among them. The subject line was Greta's full legal name, followed by 4 words, "For your reference only." 8 attachments, the signed repayment agreement, the wire confirmation from March 14th, 2022. Timestamp, $60,000, recipient account, the full email thread, a chronological summary of the 22 texts. The 2 voicemails transcribed, a screenshot of the February 2024 group chat message. Marina's own words in the body of the email ran to 3 sentences. In January 2022, I lent Greta $60,000, documented in the attached signed agreement. As of today, no payment has been received. I want the family to have an accurate picture. She sent a separate package, the same documents plus the attorney correspondence, to the SBA Loan Processing Office. Certified mail, signed for. Then she went to bed. The screenshot on Marina's phone, March 14th, 2022, $60,000, wire confirmed, was now Exhibit A. By Sunday evening, 3 family members had sent her the same message, different words, same meaning. No one was waiting for Greta's side of the story. The loan application was placed under formal review. 3 weeks later, it was denied. The denial cited a material omission in the applicant's financial disclosure. The business did not expand. The family group chat went silent for 6 days. When it came back, something had shifted, not in volume, in weight. In March, Greta sent Marina a message. It contained an apology structured more like an explanation, and an offer to begin repayment when things stabilize. Marina read it once and forwarded it to her attorney, with 3 words, "Please advise accordingly." The civil suit was filed 4 months later. Default judgment was entered when Greta did not appear. There is a version of this story where Marina sends an angry text in September 2022, where she calls his mother crying, where she makes herself the story before the record is ready. That version ends with a family divided and $60,000 gone. Instead, she built a file. She waited for a lie told in public. She released the truth to exactly the right people, through exactly the right channel, at exactly the right moment. The difference between those 2 outcomes is not luck. It isn't even patience. It's the decision. made once and held quietly for months to let the record speak instead of her voice. New stories drop every week on Revenge Reckoning. Subscribe so you never miss the reckoning.